Hello, I'm Greg, EG.IdrA Fields, and this is an EG replay review. Today we'll be looking at me versus Ladder Zerg on Daybreak. This is me versus IMP Magic, and a little bit of lag there, not sure what caused that, but it's good now. He does a gasless opening this game that's become a little bit more common with the recent Queen buff. Queens now are very, very good defensively early on. Ling Bailing pressure is not obsolete, but it's incredibly inefficient versus Queen plus Spinecrawler defense. So if you recognize that they are going this defense, then it's pretty impractical to go ahead with aggression. And so this game we'll see that I go ahead and just throw down a really quick third base, get my economy up, and that's the proper way to respond to it. It feels like a really solid opening in a Zerg. We'll see what he does. He just gets 3 or 4 spine crawlers, then has a couple of Queens blocking his ramp. And it seems like absolutely nothing can be done to it, and that's essentially true. So the important thing here is to realize that when you're not going to be able to put pressure on them, they're sacrificing something in order to be that safe. He's going to invest a lot of minerals into those defenses, and the proper way to respond to that is to be greedy yourself. Because if they've put that much into defensive structures, defensive style of play, then they're not going to be able to be aggressive. So the best way to take advantage of that is to go ahead and just take a massive economy for yourself. I opened with 15 hatchery. He opened pool first hatch. 15 hatchery is actually, I believe, the best build in ZvZ right now. There's a new tactic that's kind of becoming more popular. You just drone drill the ramp if they try and 10 pool drone all in you, and you can actually catch them and get much better surface area. That's something for another replay review, but it actually makes 15 hatch a much, much safer build now than it used to be. Here we can see him putting down his initial spine crawler. He's got the queen up. He has the other queen coming down here to block the ramp. Very solid, intelligent play by him. Just the proper way to defend an early expansion when your opponent has Zerglings out and you don't have any. But we see he didn't open up with gases at all. I already have Speedling almost finished before his extractors even start. And this is a very economical way to play in terms of minerals. You actually gain a huge amount of mineral income when you open gasless like that, and then you get double gas later on to compensate. However, upon seeing that, I just took my drones off gas for a long time. We see I just now restarted mining it. I put down my third hatchery already. I have a ton of drones, and if we look at the income tab, it's actually even harvesters anyway. Well, he just had an extra little burst, but then I will soon as well. So we have essentially even drone count, because upon seeing that really, really defensive style, I was just able to be very greedy myself, and I kind of catch up for the initial advantage. He gets an income by that. It's very important to recognize when your opponent is playing defensively and realize that you can take advantage of it in that way. And above all, just do not try and pressure verse it, because that's what he's hoping you do. He's hoping you give him the chance to be defensive. And here we can see Evolution Chamber, and actually I think I missed it on the replay, but I sacrificed in an Overlord to see how fast his lair was, and I actually ended up seeing the Roach Horn, which tells you everything you need to know. This could potentially be a muter build, since he hasn't taken a third base. It's going to be 2-base fast lair of some sort. However, upon seeing the Roach Horn, I know that he's going to be going for a speed Roach, kind of heavy aggressive timing. Given that, I put down my own Evo Chamber and Roach Horn, start the +1 upgrades, start Roach speed as soon as possible. And we also see I put down a couple of spine crawlers there and a spine crawler there. Spine crawler is very, very helpful in defending with Roach versus Roach. And I know that since my third base is so much faster than his, I definitely have an economic advantage, and it's going to be very useful for me well, actually, I don't use. All you have to do is to stay alive. I have a much better economy than him right now. I have that third base running. I have 3 hatch production. We see actually a 70-44 harvester count. That's actually too much of a harvester lead. I should die because I've spent that many more resources on drones. I didn't realize he was investing that heavily into roaches. However, we'll see. I do actually hold this. I do end up winning. And that's how powerful it is to react properly to that defensive style as I did, get that third hatch up. You can actually get this much of an economic advantage and then defend. And here it looks kind of iffy. However, if we look at the production tab, I have a lot more roaches in production, and I also have the defender's advantage. My roaches get into the battle much more quickly than him. I also have these additional spine crawlers helping out. I'm going to move this down. Again, I just have to put everything into this defense. If I hold this off, if I don't lose my third base, I win 100%. And even if you lose the third base, you see he has no drones here. He's essentially all in. So if I can hold on at all, I'm going to be in great shape. And we now both have +1 weapons, so that's even. My spine crawler started to kick in. I pulled back into this better defensive position where his roaches are funneled up through here, and I have the better surface area, and I do finally hold it off. However, we see he still has a lot of roaches coming, it's very important to have overlords out here watching his rally points, seeing if he's going to come in or not, seeing if he's continuing to add roaches. Given that he is, I obviously continue to pump pure roaches, not making any drones at all. Everything goes into defense at this point. I'm engaging a little bit too aggressively here. Very important to pull back, take advantage of that spine crawler. Again, at this point, when you know your opponent is being as aggressive as he is, when you know he's essentially all in, you should be as careful as possible. I have a tendency to try and cut corners and try and get as much of an advantage as possible. In this kind of situation, it's very important to just sit on the advantage you have and not mess it up. Because, again, I keep harping on this, but it's the most important thing. If you hold at all, you win. So it's very important to just sit back behind these spine crawlers. And here we see that drone advantage is kicking in. I just produced way, way more roaches than him. And his attack is kind of losing steam here. Given that, I start building up. I put down my 4th hatchery. I'm getting another gas geyser, and that way I'll be able to start tacking up. My resources a little bit imbalanced here. I have way more minerals than gases. I have enough drones to support at least 5, eventually 6 gas income. And again, he has no drones at all here. So the game is pretty much over at this point. I'm even building a handful more drones because I know that I've held off the attack. Again, that's kind of unnecessary. That's cutting it very close, getting the maximum possible advantage out of the situation. There's no need for that when he has no income at all here. But again, I'm so far ahead, I know I can deal with that. Here, another big round of roaches come out. We see I'm producing 8 to his 1. Given that my bigger economy, my bigger production, I'll just keep getting further and further ahead as long as I don't die. So here he's running around looking for a hole. However, I already have a bunch of spine crawlers here. A good defensive position. He's running in trying to get maximum surface area where I'm already set up. I have these spine crawlers doing the additional DPS. Clean in the background, doing a little part. Additional spine crawlers on the way as I realize that, again, just anything possible to hold on. And here, he has his burrow, so it looks kind of bad for me, but my additional production kicks in. I just have way, way more roaches coming into the battle than he does, and they're coming in much quicker. He also has +2 weapon now, whereas I only have +1. I was very low on gas income early. I didn't balance my mineral versus gas resources properly. So that's a little advantage for him, but just not enough to make up for the lack in units. And now I have these spine crawlers up. I have additional roaches. And with every battle, I get further and further ahead because my income continues to grow, whereas his does not. He's still stuck on the original 2-base all-in. And so here comes kind of his last attack. I now have significantly more roaches than him, along with the defender's advantage. I have my 2nd Evo up, and I'll start Carapace as soon as I get a little extra gas. I now have the 4 hatcheries in production to his only 3. And then again, the work count, 72 to 44. So just not too much he can do at this point. Running around looking for a hole. I moved 2 of those extra spine crawlers up here, knowing he might try and poke in. And yeah, not too much to say at this point. He's just going to kind of run around, and I'm going to wait until I'm maxed to get the maximum possible advantage. I know, again, when you have the income benefit, or when you have the upper hand in income and in tech, there's no real reason to attack. Your opponent is just getting further behind as time goes on. So I just go out and put down this expansion, take control of the center, poke around a bit. He's trying to build up his economy now. I'm absolutely fine with that. There's no way he's going to catch up to me. And then once right before that economy starts to kick in, right before he starts to get the additional production from that, that's the perfect time for me to attack, because that's when our economies have equalized. However, I've had that economy going into producing units for a really long time, whereas he has been investing in drones for the last minute or 2. He just doesn't have as many roaches as I do. And that is the point in the game. When this is about to pay off, that's the point in the game when I am strongest relative to him, so that's the proper timing for me to attack. And we'll see that head out pretty soon. Also, I've just maxed, so I'm not going to continue to make more units. It's not possible. So given that, I start teching. I put down an extra hatchery. As we're going to see, my resources start to climb as I have nothing much to spend it on. I'm going to need that additional larva to remax immediately if he does somehow hold this off. Let's see, poking around, clearing off creep tumors, getting rid of some of his vision, just looking for the proper place to attack. This very, very tight choke, if he has an infestor or something and fungals me on the ramp, that would not work out very well at all. So I go in, find out that this is the more open area. We saw I spread my units out to try and get a bigger concave. He burrowed for some reason. There's no real way he can win this fight anyway. I just have way more units than him, if you look at the supply differences. So he just did that, and that's kind of, that's the end of it. We see in production a bunch of units coming out. I have 6 infestors on the way, a bunch of roaches, knowing that even if he does manage to hold this off, those infestors plus the additional production of roaches, plus this 4th base that he can't match, nothing really he can do. He lost all his drones in defending that, lost most of his roaches. We see the supplies. I'm able to resupply just ridiculously faster than him. This is a nice little tactic. Roaches can be incredibly annoying in ZvZ. If you know you can't win the fight, you just run around and you pick off drones, because unless they catch it with a fungal, and even if they catch that with a fungal, 3 roaches isn't really worth it, given the 3 roaches are going to die anyway. So I just run in here, I buy a lot of time. His roaches are defending this instead of going for a counter attack. I got a handful of drone kills, I messed up his mining. Those roaches were just going to die there for almost nothing, instead turning it into a little bit of a benefit. Here he realizes he's dead, he's just going to go for an all-in. I know this, it's not really necessary, but putting down 3 spine crawlers just to be safe. Again, when you face an all-in, when you know your opponent has no chance in a longer game, it's wise just to put everything into defense, hold that off. I have all my spine crawlers up, my roaches, my infestors. Look at the supply difference, pretty much tells his whole tail. Big fungal there, and again, this is his little last-ditch effort. He knows there's no way it's going to work, and the game's pretty much over. And he GG's. This was an EG replay review. If you enjoyed this content, please check out more videos like this and everything else produced by Evil Geniuses on evilgeniuses.net. Thank you for watching.